You are listening to Breathe and Bounce.
It's real. I don't care what anyone tells you. It's all real. The trouble, the pain, the suffering, the quiet killer, the quiet disease. It's the disease that you can't see that people have. And it is known simply as mental illness. And it comes in many different forms. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, as well as probably the worst part of the whole mental illness thing is dealing with ending the pain. So welcome to Breathe and Bounce. So when you look at the Breathe and Bounce logo, we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about this first. Let's talk about those feelings, those weird feelings that we get. We get those feelings of not belonging. We get those feelings of fearing for what's coming up next. Maybe we'll go into a job. We know we're going to have a big meeting with the boss. We don't know what he's going to say, and we get anxious about it. Or maybe we get depressed and hurt because someone in our life just passed away, or maybe someone decided they didn't want to talk to us anymore. And those are normal feelings that everyone deals with. Everyone goes through stuff like this. Now, think about none of those things happening, but you still get those kind of feelings. At that point, it's not normal anymore. It becomes irritating. It becomes annoying. It becomes just terrible. And then it becomes hazardous. dangerous. And I cannot even begin to tell you how much damage mental illness causes in a relationship, in a family, in a circle of friends, whatever the case may be. Mental illness is really, really, really not fun. And some people make their little jokes talking about how people are bipolar if they have a mood swing, if they're happy one minute the next. They talk about people being crazy, being mental. You hear all these mean things that people say. And the first thing that I would like to say is, does it cost the world any money to be nice, to be kind, to be caring? Well, the answer to that is no. It costs absolutely nothing. And I've said it many times on the show that it's easier to go dark rather than go light. It just is the way we're built, just the way that we can be. And it's hard, it's really hard trying to fight an enemy that A, you cannot see, and B, is actually in your head. It is inside you, and you are trying to fight this thing. And a lot of people don't win the fight. A lot of people give up. And we're going to get into that later. But first, I want to talk about the impact that mental illness has on a family, that mental illness has on loved ones, maybe a relationship. There are so many disorders out there in the world. And, in the last 10 years or so, you really feel like there's some that are made up because there's so many of them. And you can look in the Bible of the mental health industrial complex, and why I call it that, you're going to find out, soon, called the DSM. And the DSM contains all of these potential combinations of how screwed up you are. And it is the guidebook that many people, therapists, psychiatrists, mental health professionals use to try to get to the bottom of your feelings, of your thoughts, and your behaviors. And it is, in my opinion, very short-sighted. I don't want to take anything away from people that work in mental health because there are a lot of good people in that field. But there's a lot of people in that field that have their own stuff going on. So they use this as a chance to maybe take the focus off themselves and put the focus on other people. Maybe they take this as a chance because, they are trying to accomplish something. And yes, there's a lot of them that have gone through a lot of crap and they want to help people that are going through crap as well. Those people, a lot of them now, are not taking insurance. They're usually asking for cash. The insurance payouts on mental health treatments suck. The people that use the services sometimes have to go to Medicaid, and then what that ends up doing is it ends up putting the providers in a bad place because they can submit their claims and they can wait anywhere from 6 months to 2 years to get paid for them. And this is something serious. This is a serious epidemic sweeping the nation, sweeping the world. And what we do, instead of trying to confront the problem, we hide it. People really don't talk about it very often. People, if they're having a bad day or whatever, and they're having some real bad stuff going on, then what ends up happening is they become outcasts in society. I will tell you a little bit my own personal story growing up as a kid. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And I was immediately put on Ritalin. Ritalin is a stimulant that helps level you out, as they say. And it worked for a few years, and then when I got older, it stopped working. And they would make adjustments. I would go in and see a neurologist, and all this stuff would be happening all the time. And it just got crazy. I'd be going on new meds because I started really acting out. I really had a temper, and a lot of that I learned from my father. My father raised me basically to be, I guess for a lack of a better word, a basket case. He basically told me that, if anyone tries to hurt you, you should hurt them twice as much. He would tell me, he basically filled in my head that everyone was against me. And then there was the comments about how I couldn't sit still, how I talked really fast, how I was bouncing off the walls, all that stuff. This is my father. Okay? And in the meantime, my little brother, who's, for the most part, normal, doesn't have the same issues that his big brother has, was treated like the prince of Persia. While I was just whatever. And that's the kind of stuff where the mental health gets really bad. You are blacklisted. You are seen as a threat. You are seen as someone that is not easy to be around. Someone who's not easy to be with. Whatever the case may be. And then you hear all this stuff, and then you end up snapping. You end up standing up for yourself. And when I was in school, that meant me doing a lot of damage to a lot of classrooms, yelling at a lot of people. It was bad. My high school experience was not the greatest one in the world, I will tell you that. And unfortunately, one of the things that ended up happening was I took that pain with me throughout my life, and I took it out on people who I loved and I cared about. I took it out on everyone. I carried that crap with me for decades. I carried the fact that my dad treated me that way. I carried the fact that the kids at school made fun of me because I had a speech impediment. I carried a lot of stuff with me. And the thing was, I would go to therapists. I would go do things like that. And it didn't really help him that much because it was just like, it was just kind of like lip service, right? And you get to a point where you start wondering if you're really that bad off. And you start questioning yourself about what's real, about what is it that's going on. Do I have something wrong with me? Why don't people like me? Why don't people want to be around me? And it all starts to come down in your head. It all starts to just eat at you, like massively. And then every day is like kind of a fight. Every day you have to kind of wonder what's going to happen next. Am I going to lose it today? Is today the day that I'm going to flip out? Is today the day that I'm going to get myself arrested because of my anger, because of my temper, because I have this ADHD issue with impulsivity? Then I get diagnosed with this this rage disorder. Then I get diagnosed with something else and they put me on lithium. And I mean, it went on. And it's like you start to lose the real you. And then maybe you start to see all these patterns. You start to see all this feedback coming from everyone you know. And then you say to yourself, maybe this is the real me. And maybe I don't know if I can go on anymore. It's one big circus around your mind. And it's hard to walk away from. And that's the way it goes. You start to believe that you see all this stuff going on, you see all these reactions from people, and you start to really wonder, is this my reality? Is this who I am? Am I ever going to change? You end up hurting people really bad. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's psychological, sometimes it's mental. Sometimes you do things because you feel that it's the only way. And one of the problems that we have in this world is how we don't talk about things. We don't want to talk about them because we feel shame when there's something like that going on. And here's the big question. If you are going to be sick with cancer, if you've got some kind of liver disease, you have leukemia, you break a leg, you are going to talk about that because there's something wrong with you. There's something not right because something about you is off because you have one of these deadly diseases or you have this physical ailment. And it's like, we can talk about all that stuff. How is mental health any different from anything I just said? Mental health kills people just like cancer, just like heart attacks does. You don't believe me? Well, like I said, we're going to get into that. Mental health destabilizes people. It makes people anxious. It makes people tired. Bad mental health, I should say. I shouldn't just say mental health itself. Mental health is good. You want good mental health. But bad mental health does all this crazy stuff to you. And you have to go reach out for help. And, we find ourselves reaching out for lots of people. I remember I went to a church and I basically was told that we're going to pray this away for you. And they sent me on my way. And I do believe in God and I do believe in a lot of that stuff. But just to me, it was dismissive. When people care, they're going to go through the fire and the flames with you. They're going to stick it out with you. And yes, if you start to become physically abusive, I understand people aren't going to stick around for that. But it's a hard nut to crack when you are fighting something that's invisible and you're fighting yourself. And then it gets to a point where you're just like, I don't know what else to do. I am feeling this way every day. And every day, you might be in a situation like I was, where you live somewhere by yourself. And all you have is all the thoughts of all the actions that you committed because you were not feeling well, because something set you off, because someone said something or did something that made you get triggered, and you acted on that trigger. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. People love to throw around the word triggered. In fact, in politics, people throw that word around. Triggered. And the truth of the matter is, it's a very serious thing. The problem is triggers themselves are nothing. They're neutral prompts. And they're not really anything. It's an event. And then the event gets assigned meaning by us. Because sometimes our brains are not trained to understand that this is, this is just something that happens. We feel the emotional impact. I not only suffer from ADHD, I also suffer from another very deadly disorder called borderline personality disorder. And this one is probably one of the toughest because it stems from a fear of abandonment and a fear of just not being seen, people leaving you, no one's going to like you. And these are just some of the feelings that I've had to fight for years and years and years. I walked around pretty much my whole life thinking no one liked me. And when someone did like me, I was like, why do you like me? What did I do? And that's not a good way to live, man. To question when someone does something nice for you, that's not good. And it's kind of like you find few people in the world that are actually going to go to the mat with you when you're sick. because it's hard. You gotta ride all these mood swings that people like me are on. You have to ride all the craziness, the misunderstandings, all that stuff. And you have to know what you're signing on for. And I'm not saying that if you have a relative with mental health, that you should run away. You shouldn't. I mean, especially if they're trying their best to get better, if they're doing all the things they can, you need to support that person. You need to push them up, because if you can do that, there's hope. Support and validation are two of the biggest things that help people with mental health issues like myself. But then it comes to a time where it's not enough. It comes to a time where you just want to give up, where there's no more hope. There's no more reasons to keep going. And especially with mine, this is one of the worst parts. And sometimes you might think to yourself, with depression, how bad can it get? Well, you can always just listen to this lovely song and it will tell you exactly how bad it will get. As you hear the music fade out, that's how many people see themselves fading away, as they said at the beginning of the song. And I really want the next half an hour of this show to be, I'm aiming it towards you. If you're someone that feels that you've had enough, if you're someone that feels like it's too much for you, I would tell you to call 988 right away. But I would also want you to listen to me, and listen to me very closely for the next segment on this show. This is Breathe and Bounce.
Today is a great day to begin again. Trust the process. Trust yourself. You're tuned in to Breathe and Bounce. Breathe and Bounce.
I'm sorry, but we are going to talk about this, and I'm sure it's going to make people feel uncomfortable, but I really could give two iotas about that. This is very serious stuff. It's serious because suicide is a very serious issue. People are at a point in their life where they feel like they can't turn back the clock. They can't make things better. They get bullied so hard. Their parents' expectations are too much. They feel abandoned by their family and their friends and are all alone. I can tell you that there have been many times in my life I have struggled with this and have almost done it. I've had moments of severe depression. I really upset some people, and they would let me go, and I would feel shame to myself, and I would feel so badly that I would go home and I would think about finishing it, being done. And you know, it's real, man. People really feel this way, and people get to a point where they do it. The first song I played on the show today was Linkin Park, and Chester Bennington went on an interview and said there is a lot that goes on between the ears, and it is not good. It is not a good place. He was crying for help. He would go home to his family, he'd put on a happy face, and then next thing you know, he's dead. A lot of people that are planning to commit suicide, they'll do one last cry for help. And if no one answers that cry, it's over with. I had a friend a few years ago. He was one of the only guys that I knew that was like a dude doing yoga. Back in 2017, as when I met him, his name was Tim. This guy was so freaking cool, man. I loved this guy. And he was welcoming to me, too. You know, we'd be in the front row together a lot, right? And then the last time I saw him was there was a yoga on the river event that Jody put together, and he was in town. And we talked very briefly. I just asked him how things were going, and he told me, and he asked me how things were going with me, and that was it. And then I found out maybe a month or so after that, he was gone. He was gone, and he left a note with someone. I remember when I was working at the taxi company, there was a kid there. His name was Jesse. Jesse was kind of kept to himself a lot. He wasn't, he was just this big kid. He was wearing glasses, had curly hair. And he really seemed like he was upset a lot. But once I got him on the phone and I started talking to him about that, I talked to him about wrestling. I would talk to him about all this stuff all the time, And then we find out in the office that he took his life. And I was in his note. And I wish I knew a little bit more. Some people think that when people say they want to kill themselves, it's a manipulation tool. It might be, but if they're saying it out loud, it means they need something. I remember once I really hurt myself badly trying to get the attention of people because I screwed up with everything so badly. And I did it so bad that people started walking away. And I ended up cutting myself in the throat. And I ended up going to the hospital and staying there for 4 or 5 days. And when I got out of the hospital, I knew that I could never do that again. Every morning, I look at my neck, at the scars on my neck, and it's a reminder to me that you have to fight. You have to fight because it's not always going to be bad all the time. You have to remember that law of impermanence. That's not good all the time. It's not bad all the time. It's just the life. I feel ashamed that I did that. I did it in front of a loved one. I was wrong. And I wish I could take it back. I've had friends, drivers, people that have worked with me that have ended their lives because of whatever the condition is. I had someone that was pretty close with me at one of the radio stations. We all know someone. And then we start asking ourselves, what could we have done differently? Be kind, for starters. If we're coming to you telling you that we got these problems, don't blow us off. Let us get it out. Because being heard and being understood and feeling like someone cares about you, that I matter. And for me, I have found a lot of people that have told me that I matter. Not the ones that I want to tell me, but there have been many, many others. And it's been enough to make me believe, to make me push forward. Because as I said earlier in the show, I was a very, very angry person when I was a kid. I grew up angrier as a young adult. I carried that anger with me for very close to about 40 years. And it took getting tossed out of my house for me to really take a look at who I am and where I was going in life and how I treated people. And every time things got hot, I would start talking about how I don't want to live anymore. And then I thought about my kids. How would they feel if they found out their dad wasn't living anymore? And I thought about all the people who work for me. I made a strong determination to really work on a plan to try to turn things around. And the one thing that I learned is it's finding this deep love for myself, giving myself the grace and the patience that I need once in a while. And there are days when I don't give it. I'll yell in my apartment. I'll scream. I'll yell. I'll cry. Every day's a battle, guys. You wake up, you have just scored the first point in that battle. 50% of the work is done. I run a Facebook group called Polar Lines, and that's one of the things I always talked about is wake up in the morning. It's a victory. Sometimes we don't want to wake up. Sometimes we don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes we just think that life is just too difficult and we cannot go on. But I promise you, if you look hard enough, you'll find a reason not to. If you need to get it down on your knees and pray to God and ask God why He hasn't pulled your number, you do it. If you need to go check yourself into a hospital, you do it. Call 988, as I said earlier. You do it. Go bang on the neighbor's door just to break the ice. You do it. Human life is a gift. And there are days where you do not realize that and you don't understand that because of the terrible things that might happen to you or the things going on in the world, what the news is telling you, what people are telling you, but nothing. There is not one thing in the world that is worth pulling the plug on your own life. Talk to someone. Hell, talk to me. If you need to, just go on the Facebook page for Breathe and Bounce, write something up, send it to me. I will get it and I will frickin' call you and I will talk to you. I don't care what age you are, whether you are 10 or 100. There are a lot of veterans out there that think about the service they did and the things they did overseas in the war. and they can't live with themselves. There are people like me who have committed heinous acts on people, and I have a hard time with it. There's people like many others that really screw up badly, and they think the only way out is to take themselves out. And I am telling you, right now, today, suicide is not an option. It is not. Because guess what? If you use that option, you have no more options left. You've got nothing, man. And you leave behind a trail of destruction. You leave behind so many people that you didn't know cared about you. And that is the reason why, if you care about someone, if you love someone, if they matter to you, you need to frickin' tell them. You need to let them know. Because when you go through life not knowing the impact you have on people, it makes it very easy to do the wrong thing. It makes it very easy to just jump into the fire, jump off a building, cut themselves, stab themselves, take a lot of bottles of pills. It makes it so much easier when you think you are alone and you think no one is there to help you. You think that there is nothing there. So if you know someone that has had a positive effect in your life, you let them know. You tell them that and tell them you are needed here. You are needed. You matter. And you need to find a way to love yourself. Because if you can love yourself and you can give yourself that love and you can start finding the things that make you happy, you will slowly but surely start to come back out of Disneyland. And I will tell you that as someone that has experience with fighting with all this crap. I've been fighting mental illness for decades. I found out in 2016 that I had BPD after I was mistakenly diagnosed with bipolar. They put me on a bunch of meds and I lost my stuff. And I was not in my right mind. I almost lost my business. I almost lost everything in my life. And there were times where I didn't think anyone loved me. And sometimes it's like maybe you need to find a place where you can find people that are going to support you who are all in the same goal. And one of those places, I'll tell you right now, is the gym. And it doesn't matter whether you go to a big gym or a little gym. Sometimes you form these bonds with people because you're all after the same thing. You all want to just take care of yourselves. You want to be better than you were yesterday. And there are people that work at these gyms that are trainers, that are instructors, that are coaches. And they want to help you reach your potential. They want to help you find who you are and what you're made of. And sometimes I will swear to you, and I swear yoga works. Yoga is not about stretching and making yourself look like a pretty girl or whatever. Yoga is so much more. It is a philosophy. It is a way of life. And the poses and getting on your mat is just a metaphor for living your life every day. And also those poses are a small piece of the puzzle that's known as yoga. In yoga, you learn different ways to live. In yoga, you learn different ways to see things. You learn mindfulness. And if you are someone that is borderline and you are in a DBT therapy class, you know what I'm talking about. Mindfulness is one of the most helpful things that has helped me. And learning it and practicing it and being able to do it on a daily basis has saved my life. More than you possibly can think of. Yoga saved my life. So you have to find your why. What is going to save your life? Maybe it's music. Maybe you see an inspirational movie. Go watch It's a Wonderful Life. Go watch It's a Wonderful Frickin' Life, the Christmas movie. It's a movie about suicide, and it's a Christmas movie. So you know that there is a strong message behind that, because all George wanted was to go live his life. That's what George Bailey wanted. He wanted to go out there and he wanted to live his life. And things got in the way of him doing that. He lost his hearing in one ear to save his little brother from drowning. He gave up on college to save his father's business, which he eventually became the chairman of, and he gave up on trips. Him and his wife got married, and they were supposed to have a honeymoon, and they were supposed to go out of town, and they spent their wedding money on saving the town. And the list went on and on about all the things that George did, and George then started to feel the heat. Things started going wrong for him. And then he went to go jump off the bridge and kill himself. And what happened? Clarence, the angel, beat him into the water. So what did George do? He saved Clarence. And Clarence gave him probably the best gift that anyone could ever get. I don't think anyone has ever gotten this gift. But if you get it, I think it gives so much perspective. It gives you such reassurance about how important you are. Clarence gave George the gift of being able to see what life was like if he was never born. And it was bad. It was all bad stuff. The local restaurant was like a pub. The Potterfield, Mr. Pottle, it was Potter's Field was the field that all his slums were in. Well, Potter took over the town, and there was just casinos, there was drinking. It was like a kind of a bad place, dangerous. And at the end, George started saying that he wanted to live. He wanted to see his wife and kids. And maybe that's what we need. If we had that angel in our lives that could show us what the life would be like if we were not ever born, or if we did kill ourselves and how it would affect everyone, maybe that might be better. But you know what? We're not at that point in our life yet. AI has not given us that opportunity yet. And I don't know if AI won't. I mean, I guess maybe you could type in a chat GPT. What would have happened if I was never born? I wonder what it would say. Should we find out? Nah, we don't have time for that. My point is this. You have to understand that you are a beautiful human being that was made. And you have talents. You have stuff. And if you've done stuff wrong in your life, you try your best to make good. You try your best to just change. And that is all I've been trying to do lately. That's all I've been trying to do is just change how I see things, change my perceptions, change my reactions and make them responses instead. Being able to listen to people, being able to slow down, being able to do all those cool things. Because once you start to learn all those cool things, then what ends up happening is you just start to feel better. You start to heal. You start to become a different person. And with that, there's no reason. There's no reason to take yourself out. There's no reason to die. You find your why in this life. Because everyone has one. You just have to find it. And it takes time. Sometimes days, sometimes months, sometimes years. But if you look hard enough, I promise you, you will find it. But the minute you end it, it's over with. There is no going back. You're going to hurt people behind you. You are going to deprive yourself of the chance of making things better. And I tell you this, you do not want to do that. There is no reason for suicide. Don't give yourself an excuse to commit it.
The
And there it is. Last thing I want to talk to you about. Why is there a semicolon between breathe and bounce? Why is there not an and or an n? A semicolon is part of a sentence that doesn't end. The semicolon represents that your story is not ended. And I look at that semicolon as a lifesaver to myself and as a reminder that my story is not over. Until the man upstairs says it's over, it is not over. I feel like I have a mission and I have a duty to help people that are in pain. That is why I put together this show. And the reason why it is breathe, semicolon, bounce is because you breathe in all the good stuff and you bounce out all the bad. Or you can breathe in and bounce out great on the other side. Whatever you need, that is why the show has that title the way it does. So there you go. Thank you so much for listening. And if you heard the show and if it resonates with you, please send it to someone that you know is on the cusp of doing something like this. Let them know they are loved. And I will tell you this much. You listening to this, I love you. I love everyone. May y'all be well. May y'all be peaceful. May y'all be... I said everything out of order, but whatever. The important thing is, may your breath take you places that your mind cannot. Thank you for listening. Namaste.